Right. I'm letting Gina in. Got it. Where's Gina? Admit. And we're about to get started. As soon as I click out of here. All right. Gina.
Hello.
Gina's all ready for yeah, whatever today is. Oh
Halloween.
wait, Halloween. And yeah, and I'm not. So I'm so glad that you're representing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, killing it.
Killing it. It was
Yeah.
great. I didn't even have to buy anything. I'm like, I'm choosing to be participatory and I only am going to use what I have. And it was great.
Perfect.
Aaron made fun of my homemade leg warmers. He didn't like that didn't match, but I just
Hey,
did
show us. Let me see.
it.
Did you take a sweater and cut it? What is it? I
They're
can't
just
see.
socks. I cut the tops off of some fuzzy socks, but he
Oh,
didn't like the color. He really wanted it to match this. So he really wanted me to cut the arms off of this. And I'm like, I like the sweater. I'm reusing it. So, but it was perfect. It all worked out.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I got
So,
an adjustment because my neck hurt after holding my hair like this all day. So that was also very helpful to work at the chiropractor and, get adjusted.
yeah.
It's nice to have
Well,
options.
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
'Tis the season I'm drinking eggnog.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's not even November.
I know. And I went to Costco. They already have Easter out. I'm totally kidding, but you know what I'm saying.
I do. I do.
Yeah, cool. What are we doing today? Do you know what actually would be really fun? I mean, yeah, I want to do it randomly and I'll find a way to squeeze this into anything that comes up. But I loved our conversation. Was it this morning or yesterday? When we were talking about, huh?
Go.
Collective and independent?
Individual. Yeah. I was like, that's what's been coming up too, for sure.
Individual.
Let's just do
Yeah,
it.
let's just do it. Let's be wild and actually pick it ourselves. That's so crazy.
Yeah. It's number 32 on our principles.
32. Isn't that like the last one? How many are there?
36.
36. That's right, because it's 3 times 12. All right. I'm glad I know and remember stuff. I didn't write it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that, Gina. Tell me,
Yeah.
how did that play out for you this weekend?
Well, the way that I really was playing with individual and collective is we did this chaos cooking adventure during our retreat that we had.
It was
And
so fun.
it was really fun. And what I observed was, like Lori will tell you, it really wasn't that chaotic. From the perspective of everyone was kind of in their genius and was helping and supporting one another. And so to me, what it really showed up is that people took on their individual role, but them getting their one meal cooked didn't trump getting dinner prepared for the collective. It was this shared vision for what we were creating on one side, and then we all had this individual contribution to it. And that, I think that played out beautifully. And I think there are times where we see it out of whack too. But that was my experience with it.
Yeah, I think the thing that was really cool that came up with just again, as we play this out and what all this means is we're already 100% as one being. And we separate the understandings in order to integrate it and live in our power, right? So looking at the fact that we a lot in our container, we talk about mind your own business, mind your own business, mind your own business, mind your own business. And then all of a sudden we have this desire to maybe help somebody and we're like, oh, I have to mind my own business. That's not my business, right? But we spend so much time saying mind your own business because so often we come from this enmeshment. We come from codependency. We come from being in other people's business. We also come from a place where I'm not okay if you're not okay. So I'm going to make you okay so that I'm okay, because we think that that's how it works. Or we think that being all up in someone else's business is how we care and love, right? And so doing the whole mind your own business, but then recognizing it's not mind your own business and stay there. It's mind your own business so that you can know what's your business, so that when there's the opportunity for the collective, you know that you're doing it in a place of purity, not in a place of like codependency or enmeshment or growtiness.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. No, it's,
Clearly, Gina has nothing to contribute to what I just said because she's like, dope.
well, I think I'm for me, what's coming out on just it's more global. I'm like trying to relate it back to the individual and collective. Because what I've done for a long time now, like the first time I heard all this content, we're 100% human, we're 100% spirit. Like things just clicked for me. I was like, okay, this was the missing piece of information that I wasn't recognizing in my experience so far. I mean, I understood that like there was a part of me that was unseen and there was the human, but I never had those words to understand that I'm both, and both are completely allowed. And so as we went through all of the principles, the first time I heard them, I was like, heck yeah, like I need to separate so hardcore right now because I wasn't knowing where my human ended and began and my spirit ended and began. I was applying a lot of the spirit to my human and vice versa, not even knowing I was doing that. And I've spent a lot of time absorbing the separation cognitively and really like playing in the separation. And this weekend, I feel like really the theme for me, because I want to understand everything through separation, because it's easier cognitively to do that, because I like to play a little bit more on my human. Like that's just my tendency, my patterning. And so ultimately, like it's just kind of all coming back together into this integration, which we can't truly separate. I cognitively get that, but I want to be able to do it so bad to understand things. But like my invitation right now is this, and what if it's both? And what if it's both all the time? And actually the requirement to be the individual is the collective, and the requirement for the collective is the individual. And in order for them to work, you actually need both. And that's kind of blowing my mind right now. So I think, yeah, I don't know that I have a lot to say about the thing you just said, other than, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really like, I love how you just said that now I'm going to screw up the words because it was just so cool, but it was really new. The requirement is the other side, because you can't have a coin and only have a side of it. The requirement for the coin to exist is the other side, right? So the requirement for a heads is a tail. So I love that you're like, there, it's a requirement. Like it's not oh, we can totally live in this space. We can totally have like one part of it. And, okay, that's allowed, but no, it's not even just allowed. It is required,
Yeah.
because you can't have one side without the other side.
Yeah, it's how it works. And one of our practices is everything is opposite. And like that, again, is just a newer and newer understanding, which is so fun about this model. It's like every time there's still something new for me to discover and uncover in my understanding. But as I'm kind of processing that, like the collective is on the spirit side, which is, the undescribable, unseen oneness of it all. And that's the side I realize I have a harder time just trusting. like that I don't have to understand it fully, right? Like even not even having the words of yeah, creating it. Yeah.
Well, and again, I think that that's where the requirement is. Because if you could do it all with your cognitive, you just wouldn't. Like you wouldn't, I mean, you just wouldn't use the other side because we have a tendency to one side or the other, right? We all have a propensity. Why? Because the propensity is part of our genius, right? Part of the
Mhm.
experience. Without propensity for something, then everybody would just be meh, right?
Yeah.
And melancholy would be just the height of experience, right? So I love that the propensity for something is what requires the requirement of the other side of it. Yeah, why'd you pull that back, Gina? It's so cute to have it all.
Because it throws my neck out. Like I can't even wear those swimsuits you tie behind your neck because it subluxates. That's the word. My neck, and so my hair being even in a braid to one side pulls my neck out of alignment.
Hmm.
My spine. Well, yeah, I'm sure there's something to that. Anyways,
I know. I'm like, can we unpack that in class?
yeah, we definitely can. So when I think about like, I really do again like really understand probably more so the human side of things in because obviously that's the point, like cognitive is our human. So when I think about the value of individual, like most of our principles, like individuality creates this opportunity for relationship. Like I do feel that um and autonomy for me to come and play and have unique experiences of my own, but even though the spirit is the experiencer through my lens, through my body, through my human. And so what's the value of, or you can add to the value of that, but I'm also curious, like collective value of the collective or principle.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of all of it, it is because like that's what we're created for is relationship. Because by law, there's two, which is relationship, which is experience. Because the collective is basically just another word for the relationship we have as a contribution to the whole, right? Which again is nature, right? If one of my cells is diseased, we call that cancer, and it affects the rest of my body, right? There is a contribution positively or negatively of every cell. Now, maybe it's not a huge contribution, or we could look at an organ. Okay, my heart is just an organ and it functions all by itself, and it's a contribution to the whole. And by nature, it's not the whole without every part.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I hadn't really thought about like when you talked about cancer cell or an organ, like the individual cell that comes from actually impacts the whole, like you just said. But in my mind, I'm still in right, wrong, good, or bad. Cancer is bad in my head at this exact moment. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like it can be where cancer takes over or it gets cut out. I don't know. There's just some weird things happening about like how one thing and how we address that in like medicine or other areas. How yeah.
Or even from the perspective of if there's a cancer cell, my body will start producing antibodies and it actually starts the creation process in order to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, like this is not part of like how we're going to roll right now. So we're going to create antibodies to actually get rid of you. Now, we could say, well, the antibodies were there to get rid of the bad cancer. Or we can go, wow, what's the word I want? Like the fact that the cancer was there was the reason my body created antibodies, which is creation, which is my identity. So, how cool is the cancer that I was able to create from the thing that I don't choose?
Well, and if we look at it from the model, wouldn't like even the label, like the idea of one of the cells being different than the other cells is really on the human side. Because on the spirit side, same. Like
Yeah.
cell is a cell is a cell. It's all one. It's
Yep.
all the same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference in the two cells actually manifests something. And the fact that life is always in the process of manifestation, i.e., bringing to the physical something that is nothing in the non physical, right? Bringing it forth, then we can use that power, just like in Star Wars, right? The Force, and we can use it either as a Sith or as a Jedi, right? And now, just like you were saying, like same, it's a cell. But what's the experience based on the fact that the cells are different? That is the experience of human, but it can't be apart from the fact that a cell is a cell is a cell, because then like it couldn't like do its job if they weren't of same nature, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can feel something expanding in me, like partially my mind, but partially something else. But again, there are no words. I can just feel it. It's like, this idea of the experience of the collective. Like, what is that? Like, how, yeah, how am I both all at one time?
Well, and because without the collective, there is no experience, right?
Say more words.
Well, the fact that, like, if I sat all by myself and I don't paint, I could never enjoy painting. Like, or, I mean, a painting, like, I could never enjoy a painting. There would be no experience. If if there wasn't the collective, then I couldn't watch a football game. If there wasn't the collective, then I couldn't even be having this conversation with you. If there wasn't the collective, right? Because the collective is anything outside of myself. Even like drinking my eggnog is the experience of the collective, because somebody else made this eggnog. Somebody else like was on the assembly line as my carton got filled. Somebody else made sure that they knew where to ship it. There was the people who loaded my eggnog into the truck. There was the truck driver that drove my eggnog to Costco. There was the person that took the eggnog out of the truck. There was the person that put it on the shelf. Then there was the person who rang up my eggnog so that I could like buy my eggnog. And then I came home and there was somebody who made the glass that I poured my eggnog in. And there was somebody who put the glass in the container that sold me the glass. Like, I without the collective and a massive amounts of the collective, I could have never experienced that glass of eggnog.
And I really do get like when we're talking about the physical experience of the collective and how it shows up, but this unseen idea of collective is just like the struggle for me. Like, because I do like when we were cooking, I saw the collective, like I saw the contribution of the collective. But if I think about it in an unseen way that it's just happening, I get tripped up. But I'm feeling
Well,
like that's me
What
trying
if
to,
you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I feel like a lot of that is still me trying to keep things separate.
Well, I'm going to say something. This is going to sound really strange to you, Gene. Are you ready?
Yeah,
You're still trying to separate the application or apply the separation.
for sure. Absolutely. I don't know how to not do that right now.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And again, that's the invitation into the red phase where you can't ever cognitively understand the integration of it because it's two opposites living as one. And our cognitive can't understand that because our cognitive is only capable of separation.
And really understanding the physical,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, to some degree, yeah. Because I can cognitively understand that there's an unseen.
But I can't cognitively understand the experience of the unseen or experience of anything. I
Right.
mean, how can I
Well,
cognitively understand something? I can understand that it exists. And I guess I
yes.
could, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what if, and I'm throwing this out there just to tap back into the unseen. What if the unseen collective is the idea that somebody somewhere knew that somebody at some point in time would want a glass of eggnog, which is why they had the idea. Because if it was just me, I would never have the idea to package and distribute eggnog. Only when I have the idea that somebody else might want to taste my eggnog will I begin to even offer the eggnog to somebody else.
Well, and the
Right?
idea, yeah, like of if I even think someone else wants my eggnog, and I am responsible for making all of that other stuff happen for them to receive it, how creation would be so challenging.
Right. Right. But I'm not worried about somebody else stocking the shelf, being the cashier, doing because that's trusting that if I have an idea, it's like supposed to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just move forward and trust that the collective in the unseen will have an idea to play with my idea because we are all connected, whether we're aware of it or not. And that is the collective in the unseen is that we are connected.
Yeah, and you've also talked in the past like about the idea of collective consciousness, collective conscience. Which word is it? You know what I'm trying to say.
You know what you're trying to say.
But I think that's another unseen example that there are clearly held beliefs and all of the things by the collective that are below the surface that actually, yeah, is that can they oof, man, so many questions. I don't know that I
Well,
need
and what popped up when you said that was, and it is required that I am an individual. Otherwise, I get sucked into the collective, and then my identity would be victim. So ultimately, I'm subject to nothing outside of myself, including the collective conscious. Ultimately,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and the collective conscience is what allows for me to have an idea and trust that somebody else is going to want to be the cashier and somebody else is going to want to be the truck driver and somebody else is right. So it again, there's the integration. You can't have one without the other.
no,
You
that's what I was
really
just
can't.
that's what was blowing my mind because I was like, okay, so even the collective conscious in a way is interacting like from the subconscious level but everything's in constant change is really about becoming. And that's kind of on my human side. And there's this web of how it works that, again, there was a lot of safety in the separation for me because I could cognitively understand. And I know I'm excited that I'm being invited into more because this has tripped me up all weekend. I mean, it's clearly tripped me up longer, but like it's really tripped me up this weekend. Anytime we have a conversation, I'm trying to apply the principles when the principles are just how it works. And they can't work on their own. There are examples of maybe more obvious examples of how it's maybe one side. I don't want to say one side dominant, like your idea of force and movement in the physical. But even without that, without the flow of energy and ideas to even create the force, like there's nothing on one side. But there's examples that demonstrate what we're talking about.
Well, and as you say that, it even pings me for the fact that even the principles can't fully be explained without some of the other principles.
Yeah.
Which is part of the integration of it all. And that it's all happening all at once simultaneously. And our conscious experience of it is based on the state in which we're in.
Yeah. Wow. Some gymnastics today.
I'm glad you were dressed appropriately.
Me too. I was like, I definitely showed up for the party in the right outfit.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, that was fun conversation. I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'll give it some more play with like the whole minding my own business and not like that you were talking about before, because that's a thing.
Yeah. And Gina put a date on the calendar for the next EMPHORY 101 class.
Yeah, we're gonna start on November. I'm looking at my calendar. I think it's the 27th. Nope, November
Right.
29th. 29th.
29. All right. So if you see this sometime before November 29th of 2023, then reach out if this conversation is super sexy to you and you want to know more about how do I have conversations like that? Well, we would love to welcome you into our world. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.